What's up, Bridal Babes? I hope you're ready for another exciting episode of your favorite local wedding show, Bridal Buzz. I'm your host, Kat, and today we're joined in the studio with Mallory, who is an intern here for the summer, but she's also a bridal consultant at Brides by Elizabeth. So we are going to be talking about everything you need to know to prep for your gown shopping experience. So before we get started, quick shout out to today's sponsor, The Cake Shop. You'll hear more about them as we get going, but let's get started. So Mallory, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Yes. Why don't we start by telling the listeners a little bit about how you got into the world of weddings and maybe how you even landed this internship this summer.
Yeah, so I'd never thought about weddings. I've done retail my entire job experience. Like every time I've had a job, it's been retail. And I go to school in Idaho and I was needing a job and I was like, what if I tried bridal? And I got a job up there and I fell in love with it. I love the experience of talking to these brides and being a part of this super important part of their lives and part of their wedding. I would argue that getting your wedding dress is one of the most important parts of your wedding, besides the groom. But
picking the groom, number one. Picking the dress, number two.
And then when I came back for the summer, I knew I wanted to keep doing that. And so I got a job at Brides by Elizabeth, which I love. It's amazing. It's the same experience and it's great. And I do a lot of the social media for them as well.
Yeah.
And I met you guys, and then you guys gave me the opportunity to intern. So it's giving me a lot of experience. I'm a journalism major, so doing podcasts and working in this industry and this part of weddings, I love it because I think that's probably what I want to end up doing as a career one day. So this is just really the best opportunity.
The best of both worlds,
oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Perfect. So I had Mallory kind of put together a list of what she saw as like the most important things to prep for your wedding dress shopping experience. So you told me earlier it's not like in a particular order, but why don't we just go ahead and get into it? Tell us what inspired these decisions.
Well, I've just seen so many brides and some that I've seen have been a little bit more prepared than others. And the ones that I've seen that are prepared, they're things that I never would have thought of. And I was so glad that they came prepared with those specific things.
Right.
So that really helped me come up with a list. And I know that I'll be prepared one day for when I'm going wedding dress shopping because I've seen the good and the bad.
Right. You're showing up with everything, the cooler and...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what is number one on this list?
Number one thing I would say is come with some dress inspo. Go on Pinterest, make a board, you know, have some ideas because it's hard when you have and it is hard to have any idea of what you want when you haven't tried on, especially when you're going for your first time. But having some idea of what you like and what you don't like. And of course, when you get there, you can try things on that maybe you don't think that you like or aren't necessarily on your board, but just have some idea, and also pictures of your venue and ideas of what your colors are going to be, because that helps the bridal consultant help you find a dress that not only fits you as a person, but also the theme for your wedding or the venue. And so something that will work within all of those things. So if you have that inspiration and those pictures of the venue, it helps us a lot, help you.
What are some specific things that brides should be looking for in those inspiration, like materials, cuts, designers?
Yeah, so I think the biggest things is deciding between fitted and A-line. You'll know if you want it or if you don't, a poofy dress. So if you kind of have like the cut, that's probably the main thing I would look for, and also color. Okay. Because if you want a black dress, you want a black dress. But also if you want two-tone, there's a few different things. So I think color and style and shape are those main things that you should look for. Designer-wise, I think it depends because different stores are going to have different designers, but you can look at those designers saying, hey, and show your bridal consultant, hey, I love this designer. Do you have this designer or designers that do similar work as this designer? So I think that could help as well, for sure.
Okay, cool. And I'm like in this headspace too. I'm just now starting to really, really look for my wedding dress, Bridal Babes. So I am just taking mental notes, and I'm going to be re-listening to this episode before I go shopping again. But yeah, I think you're saying all these words like the two-tone and, you know, these things that I hadn't even thought about before. And now that I'm trying them on, I'm like, oh, I do like two-tone because I like seeing the lace pop up a little bit more on the outer layer when there's a darker tone underneath, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So cool. Thank you. That's a great first tip. What would you list as number 2?
I would say probably you don't think about this, but don't come straight from the gym. Have a little bit of hair done, like a little bit of makeup on, just to feel a little bit more bridal. Because if you don't feel like somewhat of what you'll look like on your wedding day, you're not going to have that full look. And it's going to be hard to say yes to the dress when you don't have that full look that you're wanting on your wedding day. So if you don't have all of that, you probably don't think about that. You think, oh, it's not going to matter. But I have had brides where they are having a hard time saying yes. And I'm like, well, do you have maybe a little lipstick in your purse or something that helps you elevate the dress? Because that's really what it does.
Right. Just feel like a bride.
Exactly.
There might be some brides out there that are not going to wear makeup on their big day. But, but most of us are going to be wearing more than we normally do. Mm-hmm. So just like having that at least base normal layer of what you normally do. It's a good place to start.
Yeah. I just think that helps a lot to get that image of what you will look like on your wedding day.
I've even heard some people recommend doing like bridal trials with a makeup company and then doing wedding dress try-ons, which is, can be hit or miss. If you don't have a good experience with the makeup company, then, it could be throwing off the rest of the day. But that is a good hack if you're trying to do kind of like 2-in-1 hair and makeup and dress trials.
And also along those lines, if you're someone that you're going to want to wear Spanx or some like shapewear under your wedding dress, keep that in mind to bring that when you're going wedding dress shopping, because that will also give you more of the look that you're going to want on your wedding day. If that is something that you're going to want, bring those as well.
What about heels? Would you recommend people bringing...
It depends on what you think you'll wear on your wedding day. If you're wanting to wear boots, sure, bring those boots. If you're wearing Converse, bring those Converse. That way you can kind of get the look. But I know a lot of brides probably do wear heels. And I think the brides that I've seen bring those heels. It kind of helps that same with the hair and makeup. It elevates the dress so you can kind of see that more what you want on your wedding day.
So moving along, number 3. What do you got?
So I would say probably you don't think about this. You think you want lots of people there and all of these opinions, but I promise you don't.
Yeah.
Bringing the people that you want to bring to shop for your wedding dress is really crucial, because if you bring people that have really strong opinions, it's going to make it harder for you to choose a wedding dress. Because if you have all these, like say you have 10 people there that have very strong opinions, or people that are a little bit more negative in your life, then it's going to make it really hard. So I think really be careful about who you're bringing. If you have a lot of negative people, it's not going to make the experience great, because you want to have a good experience. Bridal shopping should be really fun. And if you have people that aren't going to make that really fun, you're not going to want them there. So I think that's really important to think about. And also just having a smaller amount of people. And also some bridal shops like Brides by Elizabeth, we have a limit of 4 just for seating area purposes, but I know other shops as well have a lower amount than you would expect, just to help you and us, so it's not super crazy, because you don't need all of those opinions, because ultimately it's up to you to decide what wedding dress you want. And so yes, it's good to have opinions, but not too many, because it's just going to confuse you. So
I think 4 is honestly a pretty good number. I'm like good with 1. I did bring a large group of people with me once, just because I wanted to make sure everyone felt included in that process. Like, I want that memory with them, but I knew it wasn't going to be like the day I was trying to find my dress. Because like, not only were there 6 people, there were 2 people FaceTiming in, and people were just chit-chatting the whole time, and I was like, hey guys, I really like this one element, and they're like on the couch, and I'm like,
exactly.
Hello.
And also FaceTime is a great aspect. If you have people there that the people not there that can't be there, or you don't necessarily want they're there but still want to see the dress, that's what FaceTime is great for. So that's what I always ask when they're in the dress that I know they like. I'm like, do we need to FaceTime anybody? And again, taking tons of pictures helps too. You can show as many pictures as you want. So
and I think a certain amount of strong opinion is good, as long as you're okay with that strong opinion, and also being okay to not bring in like polar personalities, because I'm imagining like a maid of honor and like a grandmother having very different perspectives about what dress you should be wearing, and maybe the maid of honor is not like super respectful of the grandmother's like traditions, and I don't know. So just being mindful of the mix of people you're bringing and how they're going to work together as a team. Because it's kind of like when the bride is in there putting on her dress, you're like working as a team. You're like talking about how to help her and, you know, whatever. So it really does matter. You're setting up, you know, your backup people, your support system for the day. So, yeah.
So going on to the next one that kind of goes into that with not only the positive people for yourself, but the positive people you're bringing, but also a positive mindset yourself. If you're in a bad mood that day or you're stressed and you've got a lot going on, it's going to be hard to have that happy mood because this is the most important dress of your life, you know, which sounds kind of stressful. And but you don't want it to be that stressful experience. You want it to be super fun. And so going in with a positive mindset that like, this is going to be great, that's going to help you a ton. Yeah. Because I have seen the difference of a bride that comes in that's in a really negative mood and a bride that is super positive and super excited, and it's very rare for the one that comes in with a negative mood is actually going to get a dress.
Right. She's just not in the mindset for
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And also along those lines, coming in with an open mindset, because if you're really set that this is the type of dress that I want, be a little bit open, because most times I have a bride, she'll say, I really want a mermaid dress. She ends up with the poofy dress. So don't be opposed to having, don't be opposed to trying on different dresses that you wouldn't think that you want, because you never know. You don't know until you try them on. And that might come if it's your third bridal shop, you have pretty much of an idea, but going into your first, have that open mindset, because you really don't know until you try it on. Yes. Because yes, you see it on Pinterest and you see pictures of the model in the dress, but that dress looks different than it will on your body
100%.
Type. So you never know until you put it on yourself. So having that open mind is really important.
This is relatable content for me, bridal babes. I definitely have 180'd like what I thought my dress was going to look like. I don't want to share too much about what I want and what I don't want, but it's crazy to have that experience where you see a dress and you're like, oh, it's pretty, but it's not making me like, you know, feel anything really. And then you'll put on something that you never expected to wear and you almost cry.
Yeah. Exactly.
What do you do?
Well, also with that, I hadn't thought about this until now, but don't go in expecting to have that crazy say yes to the dress moment you see on TV that you're going to be bawling, your mom's crying, everybody's crying, because it might not be like that. You know, you might not have, like, yes, you're going to feel like it's the dress, but you don't go out of the store, you've bought the dress thinking, I didn't have that crazy moment, because you might not necessarily, I would say most of the brides don't have that huge, you know, big aha moment. Yeah. So I think don't be sad about that if you don't, and second guessing your dress because you didn't have that big moment.
This is something I've heard a lot recently, actually, thrown out there. Is just like, it's okay if you don't cry when you put on your dress.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes you don't even cry on your wedding day, because it's all just happening so fast, and you can't expect or anticipate how you're going to be feeling in those moments. You just have to enjoy it.
Exactly.
As it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So before we get into the next one, Bridal Babes, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, The Cake Shop. This local baker is ready to provide the sweets for your next big occasion, from cakes to cookies to everything in between. Whatever your heart desires, they have amazing signature flavors, and they are ready to make your dessert dreams come to life. So look up The Cake Shop today on sanantonioweddings.com and figure out what they can do for your big day. All right, let's keep going. So we've gone through 4?
I think so. Somewhere around there.
And maybe we're throwing extras here and there. It's fine. We're not counting.
So another thing that I would say when it comes to the people that you're bringing is think really hard if you want to bring kids. If you have kids yourself, or if your sister has kids, think about that, because I have seen brides that bring their own kids in, and they're more focused on what their kids are doing, if they're touching things, than what they're there for. Right. So that I've seen that becomes distracting for the bride, because you're not really in, again, that mindset that you really need to be in. So really consider that if you want to bring kids to your bridal shop, like your bridal shopping experience. If you really do and that's important to you, that's awesome. Just keep in mind that that's not something you want to be worrying about.
Yeah, like have somebody assigned to kid duty.
Yes. If you do bring kids, that's important to have someone that's going to be in charge and make sure that you're not worrying about that while you're putting on dresses.
And probably also think about how many dress shops you're going to in one day if you're bringing kids. Because I could imagine the patience of, I mean, every kid is different, but the patience levels of most children are probably two shops max.
Yes. Actually, along those lines, that goes into one of my next points,
There you go.
My advice is do not do more than 2 in one day. Because I have seen brides that have come to me and it's their 3rd, 4th, sometimes even 5th shop of the day.
I literally am just exhausted hearing that.
Exactly. And it's so stressful because at that point, every dress looks the same. You're overwhelmed. You're feeling like you're not going to find your dress. So I say you do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, have lunch in between because you're going to feel so I've seen brides, I'll get them in the fitting room and I ask her, not in front of the party that they brought. I say, are you overwhelmed? And if she says yes, I'm like, okay, you know what? You need to go home. You need to get some food. You need to take a nap. Like, do whatever you need to do and come back because they're not going to have fun. If you're overwhelmed and stressed, you're not going to feel that. Putting
on bridal dresses is a workout. And like, you don't want to be putting yourself into a situation where like I get hangry and when I'm exhausted I'm not the best version of myself, so I'll just leave it at that.
No more than 2 in a day. And if you're wanting to do it in a weekend, like your mom's in town for the weekend, sets them up for Friday, sets them up for Saturday, sets them up for Sunday. Don't make it just Saturday with 4 different appointments because you're gonna feel too overwhelmed and you're gonna feel way too stressed.
It's all gonna just blend together and turn into a mucky mess.
And you don't want that.
No, and you want to be able to remember exactly what dress you tried on at what store and like what consultant was helping you. And like, because sometimes you will look back and you're like, wow, actually that dress was really beautiful. Maybe I should go try it on again, or look for more things inspired by that. So definitely a helpful tip. This is something I live by, and I don't know, like trying on bridal dresses, they're heavy, they're hot. I love it, but it's exhausting. So you definitely have to prep. Like that's why we're doing this episode.
Exactly. You do have to prep.
Yeah. So what's next on the list?
Water and food. Don't bring food into a bridal store, please, but go with a full belly. If you're hungry, everyone gets hangry, and it's again with going in with a positive mindset. You're not gonna be able to do that if you're hungry.
Don't starve yourself for the sake of trying to like fit into a dress better either.
Exactly.
Nobody needs you passing out on the stool.
No. And when you're up on the pedestal, don't lock your knees. Little tip. I've had a bride almost pass out. We don't want that. But also bringing water is really important. If you want to bring mimosas too, if it's okay with the bridal shop, because it depends on the bridal shop. But if you want to bring mimosas, bring some water just so you stay hydrated and you've got some, you just want to have that mindset. Sometimes bridal shops will have water for you as well. We always do. But just a little thing to think about.
Yes. Stay hydrated. Every day, no matter what.
All the time. No matter
H2O,
what.
highly recommend it. But that kind of goes hand in hand with the last thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like, be ready in that day. Like, know your limits. Know your party's limits, too. Like, even being the person sitting on the couch is exhausting. It's exciting, but there's a lot of energy that goes into supporting that bride on her day. So, know everybody's limits and bring water.
Yes.
And maybe a little cooler with some snacks in the car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And then another little tip that I'm just thinking about is if you feel like you need to take a step back and you're deciding between 2 dresses, if you need to go home, sleep on it, be okay with that. Don't feel like, I can't believe I didn't do that in one day. Again, don't leave feeling sad, because that happens almost, I would say at least 50% of the time. A bride is just deciding between 2, or she loves one dress, needs to sleep on it. That's perfectly okay. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is not the experience that I dreamed it would be, because that's perfectly fine. We have appointments that are our say yes appointments. That's when they need to decide, they need to think about it. So schedule another appointment. That's perfectly fine. Like, don't feel like you've missed out on an experience because you're doing that, because most brides are the same as you if you're doing that.
And it kind of goes back to the whole, like, don't beat yourself up if you don't cry, or like, you know, you have that crazy gut feeling that you always expected. Like, it's gonna just take it as it comes. It's your day, and you have to be at peace. And like, if you need to take a step back, take a step back. If you want to make the decision then, make the decision then. But every bride is different. And like you said, most brides, they're not going to be making that decision right in the moment on their first day of trying dresses on.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Along those lines too, if it is your first shop and you fall in love with the dress, don't feel bad that you're not going to any other shops.
Right.
It's fine to be like, because I've had some brides be like, this is the second dress I tried on. This is the first shop I've been to. How can I say yes already? I'm like, you can. You love the dress. You can say yes. It's
What's
fine.
What's wrong with that? Yeah.
And also after that, after you've said yes to a dress and you've put money down on a dress or you've paid for a dress, my biggest advice, do not go try on more dresses, because there are millions of dresses out there. There will always be another dress.
New lines being released every day. And
Exactly. There will always be another dress. So don't go try them on, because you're just going to overwhelm yourself even more. And you don't want to second guess a dress, because for your own sanity.
Yeah.
And also for your bank account.
Yeah.
So
that's everything you have for today. Oh, I think that's a great place for brides, grooms, whoever, to start understanding how to wedding dress shop. So thank you, Mallory, for joining us in the studio today. And if our followers want to find Brides by Elizabeth and your content online, where would they do that?
So we're on all different social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find us at Brides by Elizabeth, just that handle, across the board. We also are on Pinterest, so we've got a few different, and then you can on all of those bios, you can find our website as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And Bridal Babes, don't forget, the buzz doesn't have to stop here. We are everywhere online, just like them. And we have new episodes on Bridal Buzz every week. So stay tuned for more. And wave at this camera, and we'll see you next time.